What's up, guys? And welcome to episode 8 of the Ferda Pod. I'm Connor Farrell.
And I'm Billy Gerlach, where we talk all sports with certainly no filter.
In zero fluff. I love that line every time.
And it keeps growing.
Fluff. Fluff is actually suitable for this upcoming pod.
Yeah. There's a lot of fluff in this episode, but
it's not peanut butter.
Yeah, definitely not peanut butter. But for episode 8, we're actually going to talk about, the summer ball team that we coach for. We're going to talk about the Danbury Westerners. Obviously, for me, as crazy as it sounds, the Danbury Westerners kind of, hold a special place in my heart because it's how I've, got the opportunity to move up here, work for Coach Connor, my position at Albertus, and
well, that's the fun time.
Kind of just, all about it. But we'll get into that.
This is authentic because I have to answer a text.
He's working. But the CSP grind never stops. The Danbury Westerners grind never stops. The Alberta's Fearless Falcon grind certainly never stops. It's just it's a carousel that just does not get off the ride. You just never get off the ride.
Yeah, but we're going to take you on the Danbury Westerners ride this afternoon, tonight.
Yeah, whenever you watch this video.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Billy, you played for the Westerners. I coached the Westerners my entire career so far. I started off as an assistant coach under the Ian Ratchford. It's pretty cool to be able to take, the job from, I wouldn't say take the job from Coach Ian. Just to have it passed down from Coach Ian and to be able to coach at, Ian Ratchford Field at Rogers Park is a pretty sweet thing. In 21, I was supposed to come on in 2020, but obviously COVID happened. That was the first start of my real journey of college coaching. But in 21 was amazing. We won it all. It was a good group. And then following 22, this beautiful guy to my right here, came onto the scene and took the whole city of Danbury by storm.
Yeah. How about it? Yeah, no, it was. I remember because I didn't know anything about the NECBL. I didn't know anything about the Westerners. You really don't realize how much the Westerners kind of means to this side of the state. There's signs throughout Danbury saying home of the Danbury Westerners and all that. So you really don't realize like the impact that the team has for, the community. But it was my sophomore year. I just got told that I was heading to Danbury from Coach Dallas Burke. And in the previous year, so the year in 21, when you guys were there, I had teammates, Matt Wood, CJ Pitaro, they were with the Newport Gulls, and they're like, damn, Danbury's gritty. You're gonna love Danbury. And I remember Googling the Westerners, and I saw Rogers Park on, Google, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, here we go.
We're gonna feast.
Yeah, but no,
feast of famine.
Yeah, kind of just like a little bit, just as a player, I came up in 22. Got to meet, Connor. I got to meet Ian. Got to meet our boy B-Rod, who you guys saw on the golf outing video. I think that was episode 2. It feels like forever ago, that golf outing. But obviously, got to meet, Alex Giobbi, Chris Nathanson, the Pitzers, all the people that, I get to work for now. But just as a player. And I remember we just got done our first practice at Rogers Park. I don't think I hit a ball out of the turtle because, with how short Rogers Park is, it was definitely a nice little, mind, mental block for me. But I just remember I was like, man, this is going to be the grittiest summer. And, it kind of just transformed the way that I just played baseball. Obviously, we live by, the grittiest team, in the NECBL, but, you kind of just take that mentality back to your school, or at least that's the goal. But 2022, came up short, didn't make the playoffs, met some great guys. Trying to think of that team. Hank Thomas from Ohio State, Henry Stremecki, who's coaching at Nevada now. Alex Stone, who's with the Blue Jays. Quinn. And then, I was very fortunate enough, to come back in 23, which was honestly kind of just a shock for me because originally I didn't want to go back. But then I was like, nah, I'm going to go back. That was before I found out that you were the head coach, obviously.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, that was before I found out that you were the head coach. But came back in 23. We made it to the semifinals, lost to the Newport Goals, but, just played with, other, just really good baseball players, Javon Hernandez,
Luke Boynton.
Yeah, Luke Boynton, my boy. Matt Ruiz, Jordan
Hyde.
Falco, Jake Hyde. Jake Hyde was 22. I could just go on and on and on.
Ty Guapo.
Yeah, Ty Guapo. I'm trying to think.
That was a good group.
Else. I mean, dude, we just got after it, but we just had so much fun. And the summers in Danbury are some of the greatest memories that I created throughout my baseball career, and obviously I'm super lucky to be a coach now. Kind of full circle moment.
Yeah, full circle, and I mean, I can give you guys a little bit of history about the Westerners. They were the oldest team in the league. I mean, they've been around since the start. NECBL started. I think we celebrated our 30th anniversary, and we have our one title, which are going to bring more of that Faye Vincent come back to Danbury. But it's nice to see, and what attracted me the most was simply it's volunteer ran. Everyone that's there, from the pitchers, the owner, the president of the team, and his wife Shelly, she holds down pretty much the fort in terms of where we get our host families. And host families are a big piece of this puzzle,
Yep.
I mean, we have guys that come in from all over the country. So we obviously, I myself, and I know you do now, tip our hat to those host families, because without them and obviously all the other volunteers, I'd probably be coaching, somewhere else, obviously, but this relationship probably wouldn't have happened. Well, it would not have happened.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great guys that have come along. Obviously, we have most recently Emmett Sheehan. What's up, Emmett? World Series champion.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
crazy. And then a bunch of other Westerners, Westerners alum going on to play, pro ball. Gray from the Nationals.
Yeah, our boy Mike Holt, first rounder.
Holt. And that was the other thing too. I've been on so many recruiting trips, this past summer and this fall, and just the people that you meet, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a Westerner too."
Yeah.
And you just look at them and you're like, "No shit." I was recruiting at Quinnipiac, and I was talking to the head coach, Delaney, and he's like, "Yeah, I was a Westerner."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, no shit. Yeah, me too."
Everyone was a Westerner, but their current head coach.
Yeah, how about it? How about it? Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And kind of just, the relationship that, I got to build with obviously you and Ian. I was finishing up my, my career at Kent State. And I hit this guy up because I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I wasn't going to let, the end of my career kind of just rattle me or, put me in the deep, dark, depression, because I knew I ultimately wanted to coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit this guy up and I was like, "Hey, do you need another guy on the, the staff?" And you, in the moment, you were like, "Yeah," but I honestly, I think you thought that I was fucking with you.
Yeah, a little bit. I was well, this guy wants to come back to Denver to be a coach.
And then it was funny because I would text him and I'd be like, "Hey, where do you think I should live?" All that stuff, and he's like, "Just move to Norwalk, man. Just move to Norwalk. You can work at CSP." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." And then as soon as I got my apartment, I hit him up and I'm like, "Yo, I got my apartment." And then it was right before it was right before you made the group chat with me, Bobby, Matt Rod, and all that. And you're like, "Hey, I'm about to, order us hoodies and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Like, I just want to make sure that like this is
this is
legit.
real.
And I'm like Connor, I
Yeah,
got my apartment. I'm moving to Norwalk on June 2nd. Like, this is happening. And then it was awesome too, because as soon as, Ian found, um, Ian was my coach in 2022, and then Connor was my coach in 2023. But as soon as Ian found out that I was coming up, he's like, "Hey, like we would love to have you at Albertus," and
the rest is
boom.
history.
So there was a little bit of networking for you. So there you go. If you're watching this video and you're looking for a job, at the end of the day, it's all about who you know.
That is very
And
true.
building connections is super 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 important. So obviously I'm super grateful for the two of those, because they're the reason why I have a roof over my head right now.
Hey,
But yeah, only up from here. But yeah, I mean that's kind of my Westerner story in a nutshell.
yeah, I mean, I literally got a phone call one day from Coach Ian himself, and me and Coach Ian, we played together. I've known him for, gosh, at this point, probably 20 plus years. Um, it was more along the lines where I was making peanuts for money, but I wanted the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to go coach at a higher level, and
Yep.
that was my doorway. So, Coach Ian, thank you. Um, but it comes down to, like, I always go back to the 2021 year. Like
Yeah.
that was a fully loaded staff that we just had everything clicking, and we got hot at the right time. And for all of you guys that don't know, I mean, that championship journey was probably the toughest turnaround in college baseball I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I think
And
you
honestly,
mentioned
in
it, but
sports,
kind of just
yeah. I mean,
sum it up for the boys and girls.
yeah. So I mean, we go into Martha's Vineyard. I mean, obviously we make playoffs. I mean, our team is firing on all cylinders.
That trip's brutal for us, by the way, down here
Yeah,
in western, southwestern Connecticut. Like that is
it's a
a
full day.
brutal trip. But
Yeah,
continue.
I mean, we get to Martha's Vineyard to play a game, play probably one of our biggest playoff games that we need. And obviously Martha's Vineyard at the time is extremely respected, and
Yep.
obviously
Runners up this year too.
yeah, and loaded in terms of the roster. I'll just cut to the chase. Like, I'm coaching first base, and we're down a couple runs going into the seventh inning, and it was just like, all right, well, Ryan Ramsey's on the mound, and Ryan Ramsey, you just sit there and you're like, great, we got Ryan Ramsey on the mound. Like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this kid's gonna shut it down. And he was filling it up and doing everything that he does. I mean, you look at him now and
He's a
pro
stud.
ball, and
He's a
he's
stud. I
he's still
faced him
that
at Penn
guy.
State when he was at Maryland. He's a stud.
Yeah, and then after that, it's like, all right, well, who are they bringing in? They bring in Cam Hill. It's like, all right, well,
I got a good Cam Hill story then for you guys.
because I'm sitting there looking at Cam Hill, who ended up being a really really big time pitcher.
Yep.
Going on to the Cape League after that, but Cam Hill comes in the game, and somehow they pulled Ryan Ramsey out of the game and put Cam Hill in, and I'm just sitting at first. I'm like, well, thank God for us, because we know what Cam Hill has. He's got
Yep.
an electric fastball, hammer out slider,
Really good breaking ball. Really good breaking ball.
and we ended up putting up a bunch of runs in that inning. And I remember sitting there at first when we had runners on first and second. I was like, all right, we have one out. If a ground ball happens, it's a double play ball. That's going to kill our entire energy and where we're going to try to go to the championship game the next day. Ground ball to first baseman never leaves the grass. It is as flat as I've ever seen a ground ball. First baseman lifts his glove up, goes through his legs.
Yeah, and that's crazy too, because the Shark Tank's actually probably, I would say it's probably one of the better infields in the NECBL too.
It is, and just to watch him, like, it was almost like, I don't remember the fellow's name, but if you ever watch this, like, I understand.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. The next thing you know, next at bat, pop up to the first baseman, and I'm sitting there coaching first. I'm like, oh boy, like, this isn't good. Like, we had ground ball, should have been a 2 ball.
Yep.
Fly ball, there's another out. It goes up in the air. First baseman loses it. And the second I see him start to come back towards the base, and once you see that, if you're a baseball guy or you know the game, once you see a little confusion from the position player,
Yeah, you know.
you know that he is in a blender,
Yep.
and you need to get your tail to second base.
Yeah.
So even though there's a fly ball in the infield,
Yep.
the awareness to be able to, like, all right, that guy has no idea where that ball is.
Mm-hmm.
Get to second base so we had bases loaded against Cam Hill.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And next thing you know, we go up. It was 9-7
Yep.
into the ninth, and we shut them down from there. And it was this is where the story gets fun. Is we get a phone call after the game, or actually at the bottom of the ninth. The bus driver calls. Bus driver's like, "Hey, fan belt broke. We're not gonna be able to get out of here on time." So we're like, "Well, this sucks." So
Yeah.
we get our little fishing boat back to the mainland, back to Woods Hole, and we have to sit there and just hang out until 3 a.m. But we ended up going to the Walmart down the street.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriot Boat Company gave us all rides to the where the bus is,
Yeah.
and we ended up packing up, sitting in a bus. It doesn't have a fan belt. It's the middle of the summer, so there's no air conditioning. It's the middle of the night. Another bus has to come from Bristol, Connecticut.
Yeah. Which is about three and a half hours.
3.5 hours. And we sit there, guys were setting up shop in the bus, trying to sleep, get ready for the next day. Guys are laying on across shopping carts. I know, me personally, me and B-Rod set up shopping cart, put I think it was Ricky Bobby Talladega Nights up on his phone, and we were just sitting there watching the movie until the new bus came. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, well, we had to play a game tomorrow. Well, today at this time.
Yeah, in Danbury.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there thinking, all right, well, what do we have to do? What do you know? I walked through my door in Stamford, Connecticut at 7:30 in the morning. And it's like, all right, let's go get a quick nap and
turn around for a 6:30 game.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we ended up going down in that game, then coming back, and then we go up to North Shore. Matt Zaffino happened, hit a moonshot, and if you guys never been to North Shore is probably one of the hardest places in the league to go yard.
Shout out to Anthony Steele, our boy, home run derby champion at North Shore. But yeah, that's a hard place to hit. It's a hard place to hit. A lot of dead air up there.
And let me tell you, Zaffino hit one out, and we knew, like, right there. I was coaching first in the ninth inning, and you start seeing all the coolers and stuff coming down the hill. Champagne, the whole nine. And then it's like, yeah, that feel's starting to set in. And then we run out Coleman Pickard, who's with the Kansas City Royals now, and he goes 3 up, 3 down, and we're NECBL champions.
Yeah, there it is.
So it was pretty cool, but it was nice to bring that back to the city of Danbury, especially because there's so much history with Mr. Constantino and in the league, who he founded it with. Obviously, it's the Faye Vincent Cup Senior Award. And we brought it back, and I can't tell you the amount of joy that was brought to the volunteers.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, we did it for them. We did it for the city of Danbury.
Yep.
Obviously, it was a great experience, great journey, but it's also like, all right, I felt it once. Now it's, if anything, you're a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get to the playoffs. You want to get in. We did it my first year as head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And we honestly, I think we lost on. It was a squeaker. Our fence to left field is 309. I think that home run, that grand slam, was about 309 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Just squeaked over. If there was one more length of chain, it would have hit off the top of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
That's how close it was.
Yeah.
But just going into it, I mean, I can give you guys a little backstory. It's like how we create teams. We have guys named Chris Nathanson and Alex Giobbi, and myself and the other coaches on the staff. As soon as that season's over, August 7th, we are already rebuilding the next team. So it's a quick turnaround, and that's what we do from August till even now. I'm still getting phone calls, and we get guys from other coaches. It's pretty much an invitation, referral only league, which is where you came in. And maybe before I even get deeper, you go into like how you became a Westerner a little bit more.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different, from my end, because a lot of the coaches from like the schools that you play for, they kind of do all, the hard work for you. So it was kind of just one of those. It was kind of just one of those things where the coaching staff called me in and they're like, "Hey, like, you're gonna go to Danbury, you're gonna go to the NECBL." And then I hopped on a phone call with Giobi. It was a Zoom meeting, and we kind of just talked about like he asked you like basic questions, but like they're questions that it holds some weight to it. Like he's like, "What do you think it means to like be a Westerner and all that stuff?" And like in the moment as a player, you're just like, "Yo, like, dude, like, relax." Like you don't really realize what it actually truly means to be a Westerner until like you get there.
Yeah.
And then you also realize like how much the coaching staff, how much the volunteers, just the ownership group as a whole, like actually truly care about you. And then it was one of those things where in 23, I had a meeting with Coach Coop, and he was like, "Hey, like Danbury really wants you back." And I remember I looked at him, I was like, "Dude, like I'm not going back to Danbury. Like I do not want to go back to Danbury. Like I had a blast. Don't get me wrong. Like I had a blast, but like there's other leagues that I want to explore. I want to be able to travel. Like my freshman year, I was out in Illinois playing for the Normal Corn Belters of the Prospect League. It was like now I'm in Danbury, so like I got the Midwest, I got the New England. Like send me somewhere else. Like I want to be able to see the country. But then he was like, "Well, if it's not Danbury, it's probably going to be the Northwoods." And I knew I was going to be an everyday player for Penn State, and I did not feel like playing 70 games in the Northwoods. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. We'll buckle up and head back to Danbury. And, obviously it was the best decision I ever made. I have zero regrets with it because obviously, we made it to the semifinals that year. So that team was a lot of fun. And, that group chat, that team is, still active in communication to this day. I showed him a couple days ago, like some of the memes that we made, like when we would win, games of, Coach Connor and, Coach Bob. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of just how it was, on my end, but now it's a little bit different because I'll have Giobi text me and he'll be like, "Hey, like, can you reach out to, so-and-so, like we need players." So now it's cool seeing it on the other side of, how much work is actually put in to building these teams, which is, it's really cool. It's really cool because, at the end of the day, you have, what is it? Is it 11 or 12 teams in the NECBL?
12.
12. It was 13 with Lake Winnipesaukee. Shout out Lake Winnipesaukee Muskrats. That's my favorite team in the NECBL. Everybody knows that. That place sucks. But yeah, you have 12 teams that, are trying to win
13, excuse me,
13. So then it would have been 14. Were you doing the math in your head there?
No, I was just counting them out in my head. I was like, it's pretty
whatever
bad.
The number it is, whatever the number 13. It is. So
1-3 for Anthony Steele.
Yeah. So here, I'll name the teams for you. So you have 13 teams, or we might even. I wasn't a math major, so you got us, you got Bristol, you got Valley, you got Mystic, you got Keene, you got Ocean State, you have Upper Valley, North Shore, Sanford, you have Newport, you have Martha's Vineyard.
Come on, man. Don't forget the greatest place in NECBL history.
The greatest place in NECBL.
Hey, shout out Commissioner Sean McGrath. Where's Sean McGrath from? North Adams, dude.
Oh, North Adams. Yeah. The Steeple Kitties. The Steeple Kitties, yes. But I think I named them all there, right?
Yeah, that's all. Everybody. That was 13.
Yeah, so you got 13, but you have all these guys that are trying to build the best rosters possible in order to bring home a championship for their communities. Because, like I said, you don't realize how much these teams mean to these communities. Because where the NECBL is, it's like you have the Cape, and then you have the NECBL. Because one cool thing about the NECBL, and the reason why I've been able to play with a bunch of really good players, or coach a bunch of really good players, is because the Cape obviously super cutthroat, right? So there's some guys that go to the Cape for a week and then they fall back. Like that's how I met our boy Will Cook.
Yeah, I mean,
because he got cut from the Cape, which obviously is unfortunate in the moment.
Third base Will Cook was different.
But then he ultimately he came back. He's a 2-year Westie like I am. You know what I
last
mean?
year was his second year.
Yeah, and then obviously, Anthony Steele in 23 got cut from the Cape, came to Danbury, and then he came back to you in 24. Like,
it's great.
It's just these teams mean so much to the community, and these teams also just try to load up their rosters, as much as possible, just so, they can have the opportunity to potentially be like, hey, like this player played for our organization, and now they're like Emmett Sheehan, and they're going on and winning, World Series
championships. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's definitely great to see, and obviously the community standpoint, Danbury has been very, very, very good. I'm doing everything I can. I want to bring an NECBL All-Star game to Danbury. I know
we talked about it all this year.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of logistics go into it, but at some point we'll try and do it. But I mean, because I know that would be huge for the community, huge for the city of Danbury. But it's also those volunteers that have worked tirelessly.
Yeah.
Every single day they come in.
We haven't even shouted out Miss Sherry. Miss Sherry, she feeds us. She does whatever she can, to make sure that all of our players, coaches, volunteers, and all that's donated. All that's donated. So she works, countless hours trying to make sure that we get enough donations to be able, to feed the players, coaches, opposing teams, opposing coaches, volunteers, all that food, whenever we want or whenever we need it, so shout out to Miss Sherry.
If any of you guys want to be a host family or a donator of food or whatever need be,
just let us know.
Shoot us a DM as well, because we can make that happen, because we are always looking for host families. We're always looking for donations in terms of the food side. Feeding Division I, II, and III athletes, some JUCO guys, it takes an army, and we have, in my opinion, the best army behind us.
For sure.
We have guys that come in, where they work full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the little laid-back lifestyle. I wouldn't say laid-back like us, but they're a little more strenuous than, what we do for a living.
For sure.
Where, you got Big Bob, he does firefighting stuff, and he literally broke his foot and was still out there bringing us water jugs, making sure, on those hot days, we have ice containers filled with towels.
Yeah, Mikey
the water's
Merch.
Always on it, Mikey Merch. We have the beer garden, which has become a huge piece of the puzzle. We let our players, raffle times. The community, the fans, we have people from Stanford, like a lot of guys that come in here, and the youth, we bring them in as, if you're young enough to be the bat boy,
Yep.
We have, league nights, which is great, because now you get to run out in the field with Westerner. We have guys that are going to go play pro ball.
Yep.
Now you get to say you met him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot of family-oriented stuff, but it's also the kids play at a high level. And I'll never forget, like this past year, our game one of the year. Like, I've never, since 21, I mean, obviously, with your groups, it was just high octane, well moving a baseball game, where we just moved the baseball extremely well.
I mean, we ended up putting a beat down on the champion of this year, the Keene Swanbats, and granted, the first 1 to 2 weeks of the NECBL is really tough, because a lot of guys, have guys playing in the regionals and, conference championships and all that stuff. So, granted, there's an asterisk, but there's not an asterisk, right? Like, usually when you hit July, the guys that want to be there are the guys that are there, and those are the guys that grind it out.
Yeah, you're full steam ahead then.
But I remember, Torado hit a nuke. We jumped on them early. I'm pretty sure we scored 6 in the first inning.
We put them to sleep pretty quick.
Yeah, and we ended up beating them like 13-2 or something like that.
Yeah, and we got to see a former Westerner, Nicky Romano, come back to Danbury, which was good to see.
Nicky Romano.
It's just one of those things where
he was one of my teammates too.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking, the whole time that you've been talking, I've been thinking about guys that I've played for. Sam Mongelli, Harrison Feinberg, Drew Wires. The list goes, the list
Forever.
goes on and on and on about just some guys. I know I'm leaving a bunch of guys out, but just dogs. Joey Scarrod.
Joey.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, a dude caught his ass off for the whole year of 2023 because Stone got hurt. We didn't have
He had
catcher.
to step up in a big spot.
And I'm pretty sure he caught like 35, 40 games for us that year. So he did his thing and all that stuff.
Just so you guys know, we play 44 games in 42 days, where a lot of the other leagues around, like the Northwoods, you said, played 65 to 70 games, but they start a lot earlier than us.
They do.
So when it comes down to it, it's like you look at how we go about our business. It's you might go to Danbury for a home game. Next day you're in Martha's. And then the following day after that you're up to Sanford, Maine. It's a grueling road trip, and this year we're gonna bring you guys on the road with us, which is gonna be cool for you guys to see.
For sure.
But just going into this past season, talking about that, it was we missed the playoffs by
a game.
I'm gonna say a third of a game.
Yeah, not even a full game.
Where we're just on the outside looking in, but record-wise, we were, I want to say, the 5th best team in the league. So it's
So I mean, one kind of thing that stinks is they take 8 teams in the playoffs and they take the top 4. So we have a North Division and a South Division, and I don't really agree with the North-South Division because when I played, it was 3 divisions.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a lot easier. Yeah, it was a lot easier to make the playoffs. But I'm just coming up with excuses. But they take the top 4 teams from the North Division and the South Division. And the South Division this year was a gauntlet. Martha's was really good. Bristol was really good until they had a lot of guys, leave, which they had the best record in the NECBL for
26 guys leave in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they had the best record in the NECBL. I think we beat Bristol once this year, and we play them 8 times for the Mayor's Cup. But I will say this: I'm the first ever Mayor's Cup champion, and you cannot take that away from me.
And I'm the first head coach to win the Mayor's Cup.
I will be dropping that picture in here because that's a fire picture. But we only beat Bristol once. I mean, Newport was really good. Mystic snuck in with that final spot. It was us and Mystic kind of going at it.
And we never historically we always struggle with Mystic. But
and obviously
this year we did well with Mystic.
Yeah, and I know there are boys over there at Ocean State, but Ocean State stays Ocean State, where they start super 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 hot, and then once they get
Jalen.
Once they get to July, obviously Jalen's our boy over there. We had a lot of fun with him. And obviously good luck to him at Louisville this year. But
my boy Nicky Lops.
Yeah.
Nicky Lops and Sanford started off slow, got extremely hot at the end.
Yeah, but we were doing the math, and it was one thing, that really kind of, upset us was we would have been second in the North Division behind Keene, record-wise.
Yeah.
And we ended up being 5th.
We had the tiebreaker over Keene.
Yes. And then we ended up being 5th in the South Division. So it kind of but obviously this year it could be, the total opposite, where the North Division is, really, really, really good, and the South Division is kind of slow. I don't see it being like that, just because obviously Newport and Martha's are, very attractive teams to play for. But who wouldn't want to play at Newport Beach or Martha's Vineyard? So
we're playing in California?
Not me. Oh, Newport. Is it Newport Beach?
That's in Cali, bro.
What is it? Just Newport, Rhode Island?
It's the PA boys.
Newport. It's just Newport, Rhode Island. They don't call it Newport Beach.
No, it's just Newport.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, just Newport, Rhode
Sorry,
Island.
Man.
My bad.
He's
I'm not
Cali,
as you
bro.
can see, I'm not a true New Englander yet. But yeah, no. I mean, we could have snuck into the playoffs, but one thing we had a bunch of dogs on our team. And we just had guys that, got hot at the right time. I think in the last 2 weeks of the season, we kind of sat down with our guys. It was like a bus trip or something. We're like, hey, you can either finish out this summer and, keep losing, or you can kind of just finish out this summer, the right way, regardless of what happens. And I'm pretty sure we rattled off like 11 out of our last 13.
Yeah, we went on a good tear.
And then we had, a tough road trip where we had to play a doubleheader on the last day of the season. So we played a seven inning game in North Shore, which is 2.5 hours, 3 hours from us in
Right outside
Danbury,
of Boston.
right outside of Boston. And then as soon as that game was over, we had to drive up to Sanford, Maine, just because of the rain delays and all that. But that was kind of our season in a nutshell. Got a bunch of returners coming back for 2026. But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be solid. I'm excited to, coach for the second year for them. Coach Connor's going into what year?
Year 4.
Year 4 as a head coach. Year 5 as a Westie coach.
Year 6.
Man, year 6. Damn, kid.
Yeah, man. So I'll give you a little insight in terms of the head coaching stuff. It's obviously way different than being an assistant coach. It starts with us being there, just for all you guys wondering, like, what it takes to be a Division I baller or just like a high-level baller. I wouldn't even say Division I because, like we said in the recruiting one, D3 and D1 is like this. Like, one of our best guys last year was a D3 guy. It just shows that it doesn't matter what division you go to.
Yep.
You're going to thrive if you put in the work. And this one fella, he was at early work every day. We had 6:30 first pitch. Early work was at 2:15ish, and he was there every day. Him and another fellow, Bryce Eastep, who's he's gonna be fun one to watch. Taking over for Caden Bodine at Coastal. But from my angle, and I push these guys as well, is we have 4 days to figure out what the kids' names are, what position they play, and where do they fit in our lineup. So it's not even 4 days where it's complete days. It's literally 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 hours to figure out all the information we need in order to be successful. I think, we get to the field and, obviously we go through early work and get guys better, but after that, we get right into our BP at 4.
Yep.
It's then once we do our BP, the other team comes in, they do their BP. We go up to Coach's Island. If you guys ever been to Rogers Park, 5 Mountainville Road, you'll see Coach's Island there. That's where we go and we make our lineup together. Because even though I am the head coach, I do like the involvement of my other staff mates. Just because it's a collective deal where we have to put in the same effort, but it's also, hey, he might see something different than what I see, so I want to be able to, but I'm always going to be the one that's going to play devil's advocate the most and put the final say into things. But the fun part about my side is I'm the pitching coach as well.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, all right, well, how do I find time to be the head coach and the pitching coach? That's why I have guys like Billy, B-Rod, Matty Rod, Flash in the past. You had Mikey Flash.
Yeah, Mikey Flash was in 23, and then 22 it was Dean White with Ian.
Yeah. So, having a good staff behind you obviously always helps. So it gives me...
We got some new guys coming in this year.
Yeah, so we're in the process of bringing in a full-time analytics guy that gives us more in-depth analytics research on every hitter, every pitcher, positional changes, whether it's in the outfield doing the shifts or the infield with shifting guys left and right. It's just really where the game is taking us. And now you see at the college level, it's like, all right, well, every coach has their own decision. Obviously we made a switch beginning of the year to put you at third.
Sorry, B-Rod. I had a blast out there, though. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, B-Rod being on the bench with me, helped in terms of where we wanted to put certain guys in the lineup, what situations to do. It's because I'm always thinking, I'm trying to think ahead. I'm obviously in the moment, but I'm always thinking ahead as well. So it's a lot to weigh in on, but also I have the pitching coach duties that I need to make sure that pitchers are still getting loose and ready for their innings.
And not to cut you off, I think, and the players don't understand this, because I certainly didn't understand this as a player, or you guys might not know this, is the hardest thing going into creating a lineup in summer ball, especially summer ball. And so creating a lineup, pitching, rotation, all that stuff is the players have certain like goals from the schools that they come to, where it's like, okay, so like Jimmy needs so many at bats, or Mike only has, like, he could only throw 14 innings through the summer because he had a higher,
There's a lot of stipulations.
Like a good example of this is like Hayden Tarsia from Binghamton. He was one of our dogs, obviously for you in 24, but all for us in 25.
He came straight from a supers against Oklahoma State.
Like, we watched him pitch in a super, and he was with us a week later, and obviously, he had, a pitch limit, so it was like, okay, so like, how do we get, one of our donkeys,
to lengthen them out.
Yeah, to go out. And then obviously, and you got to manage guys that are in the portal, because you want to be able to give them enough looks to be able to be seen by schools. And then when they commit to their schools, then they all of a sudden get,
Yeah, that's the fun part about this. Yes. They either get shut down, or next thing you know, the new school wants innings count on so-and-so. It's definitely, I wouldn't say I lose sleep at night, but I definitely don't sleep as easy, because I start thinking more and more. It's like you have guys that get frustrated, because they're not getting enough playing time. You have guys that are tired from playing too much simply because other guys are injured. So now you weigh all those into one thing, and here I am with gray hair in my beard. But I enjoy it.
Yeah, a lot goes into it.
I get excited for summer ball season, and it's simply not because of the time of year, and I love, beautiful weather and playing baseball, but it's, for me, honestly, I like seeing, the drive and the fun that the guys have, outside of baseball. Because, like we said from day one of this, baseball's a game. These guys are laughing and enjoying themselves. And 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, a minute later, they're competitors. They are going to war for each other. And it's actually really cool to see is the dynamic of how fast everyone gels together. And outside of your group, I think this year was the fastest I've seen a team gel together.
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say in 22 and 23, we were really, really, really close. Like, Coach Connor over here always says, like, get weird, right? Because like in summer ball, like it's the guys that want to be there. That's when you're going to be successful, because obviously summer ball could be a drag, right? You're coming off of a long spring season. You're thinking about, oh shit, I got to go back and do a fall in college, right? So summer ball is kind of like that, that middle ground for all that. But no, we were close. Like, we hung out. If we weren't playing, we were hanging out. Whether that was, going out in Danbury. Not many places to go out in Danbury, but even just
Pips.
Yeah,
for all you future players, that is the coach's spot.
Yeah, but no, I was just about to say, like, and I know our guys like TKs this year, but
they're all sponsors of us.
After a game, it's like, hey, we're going to Pippa's. Be there, be square. Like, I turned 21 in Pippa's, which I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, turned 21 in Pippa's.
And he turned 23 in Pippa's.
Probably 23 in Pippa's. No, I turned 23 up in Keene. It was our overnight.
That's right.
Yeah, it was our
overnight. But if it wasn't in Keene, it would have been.
It would have been at Pippa's.
But hey, we had quite the fireworks on his birthday.
We did. We had a lot of fun. I
think B-Rod got ejected.
Yeah. That was the day that B-Rod got ejected.
Then I almost went after him, but you would have been the head coach on your birthday.
Yeah. So I got a couple funny stories, before we end this video. So I'll start with this story because it was most recent, and then I'll go back to the Cam Hill story. So we were up in Keene, and B-Rod got ejected for something so stupid. Like,
if you guys know B-Rod, you know B-Rod.
Yeah, it was a soft ejection, I will say, but I mean, obviously B-Rod got his fireworks. So B-Rod gets ejected. And then later on in the game, so the rules are weird because as soon as somebody else gets ejected, then he gets ejected, right? So then we had another incident, which was another soft ejection. One of our players got ejected. So then I'm thinking in my head, like, yo, like Connor's out of here. And now I'm freaking out because I'm going to have to head coach for the rest of this Keene game. And then the following day, I'm going to have to show up and head coach because B-Rod wasn't allowed to be there. And then if Connor would have got ejected, Connor wouldn't have been allowed to be there. So then it would have just been me and Matt Rod. So yeah, I was kind of freaking out in that moment. I was like, yo. And obviously, I have aspirations of being a head coach one day.
They don't want to eject me.
Yo, no, they don't. They don't. I've seen that. I saw that as a player. I saw that as a coach. They don't. The amount of times that this guy goes out and talks to the umpire and says, yo, you're wrong, they instantly end up apologizing. So is what it is. Doesn't help us out in the moment. But this guy's not going to get ejected. And obviously, like you said, if you know B-Rod says, "Oh, I've saved your ass countless times." Like,
yep, save my ass.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, so that was that story. But then going back to the Cam Hill story. So it was 23. It was my off day, and I'm sitting in the corner. I'm pretty sure Boynton and I had like the same off day. Yeah. So like me, Boynton, we're chilling. We're watching the game. We're in a close one, and all of a sudden, and Connor rarely did this year. He looks at me and goes, "Yo, you're gonna hit." I'm like, I look at him like,
I think I did that
respectfully, sorry about my mouth here. I think I look at him, I go, "What the fuck you mean I'm about to hit?" I'm like,
it's the
ninth inning. It's the ninth inning, and it's funny because Boynton's laughing at me. Like, he knows what's about to happen, but we always joked as players, like, the sixth inning, before the sixth inning is when you got to get your hits at Rogers, because that twilight time at Rogers, it gets impossible to see. The mound's super high, so everything gets on you super fast. And there's also a little light in center field that is the light for the parking lot of the War Memorial. And granted, it's just really hard to see. So my happy ass was walking to the plate, and I look out on the mound, and it's Cam Hill, right? And 3 bangers. I don't even think I swung the bat. And I think I walked in, you were laughing, and I'm like, yeah, man, I hope you're happy. like, that's great. I'm glad you got a laugh out of that. And then my night was ruined. So I was having a good day, and then just like that, my night was ruined.
Here you go.
So like,
here's 97.
Yeah. Which is the worst part, is because I was geared up for the fastball. I was expected his 96 to 98 mile per hour fastball with a little arm side run. I was banking on it, but nah, he back-footed me 3 times, and I don't even think I saw the ball. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-pitch strikeout. So, yep, I was the right guy for the job, Coach Connor, in the moment. There you go. We lost that game, but like I said, we ended up making the semifinals that year, so we had a really good team.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, I just I'm happy for the opportunity to be able to do this, and
me as well. It's brought a lot of it's sped up my my coaching journey, which I'm very, 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 very grateful. But before we end the video, tell the people outside of the championship, because I'm assuming the championship's the pedestal. It can be any moment. It can be any moment as a Westerner. What is your favorite moment? You can have up to 3. Have up to 3.
Obviously, outside of winning the championship game.
Yeah, because that's number 1. That has to be number 1.
Oh, that's 100% number 1. Probably one of them is the Henry Shemeki home run that was launched absolutely into oblivion.
That was in 21, right?
Yeah. So, but I'll move off of that. I'm gonna say my second other was Javon Hernandez's walk-off home run, game 1 of the year.
Opening day.
That
was sick.
City of Danbury kid coming back to Danbury after playing for me at UConn Avery Point, and Coach Ratch.
That was sick.
That home run, you couldn't feel for him.
That was sick. The Danbury kid.
Yeah. I would say my next move would probably be – that's a tough one because I've I think I've been a part of so many good moments
Mm.
in Westerners history where, I might even go with our walk-off this past year.
Yeah, that was
Just,
a good one. I totally forgot about that
yeah,
one.
like it was just a good team moment,
Yeah.
and we did a lot of things right, but
Yep.
it was almost like we were at a high, and then we went into a lull,
Yep.
and then we ended up just getting the guys together and be like, listen, we're gonna go win a damn game,
Yeah.
and that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's I'm drawing a blank on who it was against, but just how we won games last year was the epitome of team baseball, and that's
Mm.
one thing that struck me the most. It's like, all right, well, we have a lot of team guys, but the energy that was brought to Rogers Park kind of sits with me a little bit more, because that was one thing that I said to Mr. Basterna during my radio call when I first took over. I wanted to bring energy back to Rogers Park.
Yep.
I wanted to not necessarily switch the demographic of who comes in, but I think honestly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, from your own visual, I feel like attendance is even up.
Yo, no, attendance is definitely up. Attendance is
Um,
definitely up, and it was a shame because I felt like in 22 when we went on that because in 22 we got eliminated from the playoffs on the last game of the season. The attendance was starting to get there. 23 when we made the playoffs, the attendance was
it
electric.
was through the roof.
Was
Yeah,
electric, and then in 24, obviously major down year, major down year. So kind of heading into this year, we didn't really know what
yeah,
to expect.
yeah, yeah. And we had start off slow. I mean, but by the end of the year, I think everything, the beer garden, the grandstand behind home plate,
Yeah,
it was down the
packed.
third base line, even out on the fence line. Like,
Yeah, packed. Yeah.
even like other coaches are coming up to me saying like, wow, everything about the facilities are getting better. We added a new batting cage and, a lot of other like little bells and whistles to Rogers Park. But
Mm-hmm.
what the pitchers have done and what the city of Danbury has done for Rogers Park and for the
Yep.
organization has just
Yep.
taken small town baseball in a way from the middle of Connecticut almost to something that these guys are going to see in low A and high A and so on.
Yeah.
Where
We have a really
now
cool scoreboard. Like
the
we have.
scoreboard's been a
Yeah.
great add. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the turtle that we have now,
Yep.
it gives us everything we need to do to develop these guys. And I can't say it enough is that the volunteers and the city have done so much for us,
Yep.
especially in my tenure, to give us exactly what we need, and that's going to be the winning product that we're going to bring. Obviously, the Mayor's Cup is something that we want to win, but the Fay Vincent Cup is on the
Higher
top of my list.
aspirations. Yeah.
So that's always going to be, especially since I was able to hold it. I have the ring from 21 that sits next to my bed every single night, and I got to spend a full year with the Mayor's Cup. That was when I sat down and ate dinner. That was my centerpiece. It was the Mayor's Cup.
He was eating his Wheaties and his Cheerios out of the Mayor's Cup.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool, but the grit, it goes back to way back when there was fireworks and sparklers in the bullpen.
Yeah.
There was a bonfire actually in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have this past year with guys climbing the fence. It was
Yeah.
just high energy, and that's
Yeah.
something that I want to
Yeah.
continue to bring to Danbury and Rogers Park.
Yeah. I was gonna say, heading into my favorite memories and stuff. That was probably one of the memories. We just beat Mystic. We just won a really important game at Mystic, and our bullpen was playing the Westie song on the JBL.
Yes, that is
And
right.
that's when I
That is
knew.
right.
That's when I knew I was like, you know what, this last 2 weeks is going to be fun. But yeah, just them bringing the energy, and then as a player, I would say my favorite memories was the first one was probably when we went back to back to back against Valley. So I believe
Oh yeah.
it was Feinberg, then me, and then DiGiacomo. We went back to back to back off of a poor position player. It was the Fairfield first baseman that year. He was a stud.
He ended up going to.
He raked.
Where the hell did he go? He went to Mississippi State after.
He raked.
Yeah.
But we were beating him bad, and he got thrown on the mound, and we went back to back.
I can't remember his name.
And obviously, our audio guy, Kyle DeSantis, he had an unbelievable call for those.
Yeah.
Which made the moment just that much better. And then obviously we got really cool, video footage of all that, which as players, you love that. You love that. So I still watch that, that home run, daily, because it's such a sick shot. And then playing second base in the NECBL playoffs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
How
so
about
I was an outfielder.
Who's your head coach then?
This guy right here. And so
let's go. And we beat them by like 30.
Yo, and that was the best part because it was Vermont. Yo, we forgot about Vermont. We forgot about the Mountaineers.
How did we forget about Mitchell Holmes?
Yo, oh man, that's crazy. But yeah, it was at the time where Vermont was so good that everybody hated Vermont. And we got lucky enough to play them in the first round of playoffs.
We won 32 games that year.
Yeah,
and we went into Vermont.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And manhandled them.
And that's actually a good story that I can bring that up.
This guy made a diving play. You could say it from your POV.
Yeah. So from my POV, obviously you guys know that I was an outfielder, and thankfully I got hot at the right time where I was hitting the ball really, really, really well. So I was fortunate enough to to see my name in the lineup, a whole lot in the month of July.
This time he saw a little 4 next to it.
Yeah, and yeah.
The funny thing is, I went up to Billy, and I was like, "Have you ever played infield before?"
Yeah, and that little do you guys know is I was recruited to Penn State as an infielder, and then my first.
That's how bad he was because he went to the outfield.
Literally my first day, Coach Coop said, "Hey man, go to the outfield." And granted, it was the best decision. It was the best decision, for my career. But yeah, I remember at the time when I called him Coach Farrell and Coach B-Rod called me over, and they're like, "Hey, like we have a legitimate question for you. Like we want your bat in the lineup, but like we don't have a second baseman." And I'm like, "Yo, like, give it to me. Like I want it so bad." And we were up in Vermont. We were traveling to Vermont. We were all joking around because that team was a bunch of weirdos. That team was a shit ton of weirdos.
Very weird.
And we were like, I was chanting. I was like, "We don't want to be here. Like, we want to lose," all that stuff. And everybody was laughing. And it was a good bus ride up. Like, I think it kind of just like loosened everybody's, minds and all that, because we knew that we were playing the best team in the league. We were facing a really, really good arm. He ended up.
And Billy Gerlotz at second base.
Well, I'm pretty sure he ended up getting drafted. That kid that we faced.
Falter.
Yes. Really good, 92, 94, banger of a slider.
And Billy Gerlotz at second base.
And I shit on a baseball my first at bat. And I actually think I pimped it and it hit off the wall. But we went up like 4-0 in the first inning, and we're like,
Boynton hit one out to center.
Yes, Boynton,
which is absolute.
Oh, goodness.
If you guys ever go to that
Feinberg
field,
went backside. I'm pretty sure
did.
Somebody went backside there.
He did. Center field is like the old Houston Astros, where there's a small hill, and it's about 410.
Yeah,
with the wind blowing in.
Yeah,
Luke Boynton absolutely shit on that baseball.
Yeah, destroyed a baseball, and we went up to Vermont and we kicked their ass. And in the 8th inning, I made a diving play up the middle. Diving catch up the middle, and then the following day we had the series clinching game at Danbury. I was feeling myself, a little nervous to field a ground ball at Danbury, but me and my middle infield partner for that series, Drew Wires, who's at Mississippi State now, he won the American East Player of the Year, this past year at Bryant. Absolute dog. Ground ball hit up the middle, backhand behind the back for a double play. It was on the news. I'll see if I can find it and put it in this. But yeah, that was probably the coolest moment. But then just the atmosphere of Rogers Park when I played. We didn't see much of it this year, but you would have the Spanish music playing while they were playing softball, and then they were having cookouts, and you could just smell the food. You can smell other things. But But then
That
you would
ganja.
have the dirt bikes and
Dirt bikes and the mopeds whipping up and down the
oh
street,
my
the four
goodness,
wheelers.
and they would play. You would have the guys in their lowriders and their windows would be down. They'd be playing music so loud and just like the atmosphere as a whole. Like it was just dope. It's DanVegas, baby. It's DanVegas.
No, I mean that was obviously second base Billy Gurlot.
And then we shit the bed. And then we shit the bed against Newport.
Yeah, and we actually went into Newport that year and did a lot of business. Fun fact for you,
throughout the year, we played Newport really, really, really.
Yeah, and the year we won it, we were 8-0 versus Newport. And for you guys that don't know Newport, we call, well, I wouldn't say we do, but the league calls them the SEC Gulls. They had,
which granted, they're very good.
Slade Alford hit a ball this past spring at Georgia, 499 feet. Like,
yeah, the SEC Gulls, man, they're
good.
Very good program. They went back to back in 23 and 24.
Then
and then they made it to the semifinals this year. I mean, just a bunch of dogs, well coached too.
Coombsy, man, keep doing your thing
at Newport.
So I mean, I think the whole coaching around the entire league is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I talk to them all the time.
Yeah, and obviously, just the connections, just as a whole. They're just a bunch of good dudes to be around. It's fun when you play every day to go and hang out with guys that are super like-minded and just want to see guys succeed. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy being on this side. Don't have to worry about the stress of performing. But
yeah, I mean, we're gonna go in season with you a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go in season. I'm even thinking about we potentially get a NECBL champion. I have connections to an NECBL champion that we could potentially get him on the pod and kind of just have him give you his insights of what the NECBL brought to him. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but he's a 2-year vet in the NECBL, and obviously pretty sure he's a 2-time All-Star, and
he hit a massive grand slam
against us. And he's an ACBL champion, but he's also a really good friend of mine, so I can potentially get him on the pod. So if you're watching this video, which I know you do watch these videos, get your mic ready because you're next. But yeah, I mean, all in all, we're super grateful, for the Danbury Westerners just as a whole, and we're excited to kind of just bring that, side of baseball to you guys, through the Ferda pod. But first up is the Alberta's Fearless Falcons. So hopefully we can get you kind of just like a fall preview. It's going to be a little hard getting Coach Ian Ratchford on this thing. But we can kind of just give you, hopefully a fall breakdown and, heading into, the off season and then, ultimately, taking on the spring season because, looking ahead, I think we're going to be really good. We're going to shock some heads with Alberta's. But we're getting off topic now. Obviously, all of our videos are going to be on Spotify. So if you want to listen to our videos on Spotify, we will make sure that link is in the description. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. And don't hesitate, to reach out about, like what you guys want to see. Because, him and I, our brains don't really function, that well. So we're kind of,
you guys only knew the real secret to this episode.
Yeah. But that is why it is a secret.
But hey, guess what? I can't do the Westy Wave without putting my fingers together. But
Westy Wave, we'll see you guys for episode 9. Hope you guys enjoyed.